Ladies and gentlemen, this is Colonel Oscar Poole, and I'm reporting from WCBA.TV. And I have a guest today that you won't believe about this man, Dr. C. Lane Jenkins. Dr. Jenkins, it's a pleasure to have you on this program.
Dr. Poole, it's a pleasure to be with you. I'm glad to be in your presence, and glad you invited me to be here.
And we just got back from a catfish supper over at Bonner's here in Madison, Georgia.
And we both filled up on catfish.
You did. He ate more than I. Across from the table here is his wife, Diane, whom we have just met. Edna and I just met this afternoon.
Yes.
While Greg is on the way from Birmingham, Alabama.
Right.
And we're going to a fishing trip up in Coleraine, North Carolina, about some 300 or 400 miles from me. I dread that trip, but once we get there, I enjoy that fish. I'm going to write a book on, let me see what it is. That book is like this. Don't call me Democrat, don't call me Republican, and don't call me Libertarian. But please, please call me a statesman. But it just so happens that I am a conservative. Somebody say amen.
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 Amen. I'm in good company here. Edna's here and resting in the other room. I love your home, Lane.
Thank you. Yeah.
Your home is a well, I was here, wasn't I?
That's right. You helped build the fireplace. You laid the brick.
You say I helped build the fireplace.
Well, you built the fireplace. I helped you. I learned that Oscar Poole has a requirement for mortar, and the mortar can't be like pea soup.
Pea soup? You made some pea soup?
I'm afraid I did, but I got chastised for it.
By whom?
By Oscar C. Poole.
All right. Those were great days. And how long have you known me?
Met you in 1974.
1974.
Right.
That is 26 plus 10. That's 36.
36 years. Mm-hmm.
Well, where was that?
Ellijay, Georgia. Oscar and Edna and her 4 boys invited us to come to dinner when I was appointed to the Methodist Church in Ellijay. And they were so gracious to invite us to come up and meet with us and share time with us. And I remember we had mashed potatoes. And we had mashed potatoes and biscuits and some type of beef. It was delicious. I remember that very well. Edna's a good cook. I also remember going up on the top of a hill. And I had been told about the man of the mountains. And I found Oscar Poole was on top of the mountain when I got there.
They call me the man of the mountains?
Old man of the mountain.
Well, if I were old then, what do you think I am now?
Well, the old was an endearing term. They appreciate it, but they talked about the other preachers. They said Oscar Poole is the man of the mountains.
So we have been friends now for 36 years.
36 years.
Here in Georgia. And we're in your home in Madison, which is east of Atlanta, about 50 miles?
About 50 miles east of Atlanta.
And Ellijay was about 75 miles north of Atlanta.
Right, northeast of Atlanta. Right.
I know you used to drive around town with those hound dogs barking.
They weren't hound dogs, they're bird dogs.
Because you liked to bird hunt.
I did. Still do.
Now, you were with me when WCBA, or not the W, when CBA was conceived. Tell about that.
Okay. Oscar and I developed a relationship where we could go to places and enjoy just some, as he called it, creative loafing. He had a shack on Mountain Town Creek. And he built a fireplace in there, and we used to go out there. We went out there in the snow, and we'd spend time there. Most people say...
And signed our name?
That's right, signed our name. They'd say we were shooting a bull. Well, actually, it was creative, constructive loafing. That's what it was. But we used to share ideas, and he came up with this CBA, Conceive, Believe, and Achieve. And by the way, I stole that from you. I preached that all over North Georgia. Yes.
Did you tell them where you got it?
No, I said I came up. No, I didn't. I gave Oscar Poole credit when I preached that.
Well, you see, WCBA.TV. I got the domain for this 5 or 7 years ago because I saw ahead. I foresaw that the technology was leaving the big stations like WSB and CNN and going to the internet. Now here we are, and we have this in our own name, WCBA.TV, and boy are we proud. And it's only appropriate that you be the second interview on this station because you were there when it was conceived.
Yeah, I remember it. Oscar used to write down his sermons on grocery sack paper, so I saw it written down, CBA, and explained to me. So I remember when the germ of the idea became available, or became in his mind.
Now I built several fireplaces.
We built a rock fireplace in Chickamauga, Georgia, out of rock that we picked up out of Mountain Town Creek. Oscar built that. He built it. I was the laborer.
You made the mortar.
I made the mortar and carried the mortar and the rock and the brick. He did the work.
How about that time you said your father asked what did he do wrong?
Oh, yeah. Well, Oscar is known to have a temper. But
I'm sorry I asked that.
It's true. But anyhow, we were building a block wall for a garage, and my dad was there helping us, and Oscar was upset because they weren't level. The level was messing up. It wasn't Oscar. The level was
the mortar.
No, it was the mortar.
It was the mortar.
But anyhow, Oscar got upset, and he took his hammer and he banged away at that wall, knocked half of it down, and my dad said, "Oscar, what did I do to upset you?" I said, "Nut." This stuff, I'm not going to tell you the exact words he used, but
they were good words.
Yes, they were healthy words.
They were Sunday school words.
I understood them. I understood.
All right, stay close to the microphone here.
Yeah, okay.
Now, you were with me in Louisville, Kentucky, when I got my doctorate.
Right. I went to your graduation when you got awarded your doctorate.
Your entire family.
Yes, we went there when he graduated and got his doctorate at Louisville, and I was with him when he was developing his thesis.
Tell about that.
Well, Oscar had a basement, and he had a big fireplace, and we would get in that basement fireplace and have a fire, especially in the wintertime. Most of it in the wintertime. Sometimes it'd be snow on the ground, and Oscar would have sheets of paper all over the wall, all kinds of stuff written on it, and we would go through writing and scratching out things, and they would be all kind of ideas, and we would work together and share ideas, but most of them were Oscar's. I just helped with a few
I will say this, folks, that Lane's ideas were better than his mortar. It is so much fun being here with you and Diane, and that supper we had just a few minutes ago, and we're waiting on Greg to get here, as I told you. And we're going on that fishing trip.
By the way, Oscar is also famous. He's also a good eater. He not only has a little temper, he likes to eat, too.
Now, I don't like to eat as much as you do.
Well, not necessarily.
You ate twice as many fish tonight as I did.
Yeah.
Well,
but I was hungrier than you were.
Well, I think the world knows that I had a stroke 10 months ago, and my appetite is not as big as it once was. And I'm not as heavy as I was.
No, you look good.
And you look pretty good, too.
Yeah. Well,
by the way,
there's 3 ages of man: young, middle age, and you look good. So you look good, Oscar.
Lane, you are also a doctor.
Yes.
You're Dr. C. Lane Jenkins. Where'd you get your degree?
I got my doctorate from McCormick Theological Seminary, which is associated with the University of Chicago. It's a Presbyterian seminary. So I've got a little Presbyterian in me. You know what a Presbyterian is, don't you?
You're going to tell me.
Yes. That's a Methodist with money. You didn't know that?
Oh, we've had some great times, and our colleagues were actually jealous of us because we enjoyed. We laughed and carried on and told, and we were 2 jokes ourselves. Now you know what we are.
What's that?
We're a paradox.
We're a paradox. That's right, a paradox.
We're 2 doctors, so we're a paradox.
Yeah.
You mentioned about Christmas Eve service.
Right. Oscar started invited me to be involved in a Christmas Eve service that he had on the candlelight service on the Gilmer Parish. And we had a Christmas Eve candlelight service in 74, 75 again. I started and brought from that candlelight service, and I started doing those all over in where I was appointed, the state of Georgia. Several places never had one before. I was telling Oscar one place I went, here in Madison, I suggested we have a Christmas Eve candlelight service, and they laughed at me, said, I won't be anybody there. We had it at 11 o'clock on Christmas Eve, and we packed the church.
A packed house?
Packed house. Filled it up.
And they told you no one would come.
It wouldn't work. That's right.
I had the same experience in my churches when, well, they were almost, well, some of them were packed out too.
Yeah.
But not as big as that church was. Well, I got that service from New York. I was pastor in upstate New York, actually western New York, which was right between Rochester and Buffalo. And John Beeson, by the way, John Beeson was the district superintendent of Buffalo for 6 or 7 years. The law said, the discipline, you could only have 6 years.
6 years.
But he had a project going on, so he made it 7.
Right.
And John is, hope he hears this. Well, what about John Beeson? Have you ever met John Beeson?
I never met John, but I've heard stories about him. One I remember specifically was one that Oscar used to relate to me because it fit our lifestyle. Was that John and another preacher, maybe Oscar, I don't know, were doing some kind of services together, and they were going to church one morning to do some work. And for some reason, John's key wouldn't work. John said, "Oh, the heck with it," stuck it in his pocket, said, "Let's take a day off."
And what did he say about being late to meetings?
Well, you always go late so you can leave early to make up for it. That's what.
He's the one that said that.
That's right.
He's a champion. Now, he just does not want everybody to know about it, but he's retired now, so it's all right.
Yeah.
I hope, John, it's all right.
Yeah.
And Eva is his wife, and they're now living in well, just outside Buffalo. What's the name of that town? Not Amherst. It's right near Buffalo. Well, John, let's talk about a few serious things. What are some serious things for this program today? Activity, some things we discussed back in those days.
Yeah.
Back 30.
Well, Oscar used to have a theory, and I agree with him. He said a lot of people do a lot of work and achieve very little. But it come down, and the concept is that activity is not necessarily productivity.
Amen.
And I learned that from Oscar in a different type of style, but I agree with him. A lot of people work all the time and get nothing done. Other people don't work as hard but get something done.
But Lane, I have learned from Glenn Bowen, my good friend down there in Florida, Glenn and Frida Bowen. Glenn's dad said, "Learn to point the finger." Delegate. By the way, you remember DAP Day? Delegate? Data? I'm not sure I can recall it off the top of my head, but yeah, we had DAP Day theory of leadership. Back there, well, you've forgotten it, and I have to. Doesn't matter. Lane, are you concerned about our country?
Yes, I am.
What?
I am concerned for many reasons. One of the things is that I feel like that we have a country that is leaning toward
go ahead and say it.
Too many rights and not enough responsibility, or dependent upon someone else to take care of us instead of achieving our own goals and standards and working hard and achieving things. The thing that has made our country great is that the motivation. My mother had a great statement. She never criticized anybody. The only thing she would ever say bad about them says, "Son, they just don't have any ambition."
You know, I knew your mother.
Yes.
And I recall her great food there on your table there in Chickamauga?
Yes, Chickamauga.
Mm-hmm. Over near Darwin's in-laws.
In Rossville.
Mm-hmm. Ron Pierce and his family.
Yeah.
Well,
one of the things I was going to say, though, is that the concern I have is that so much and so many of our people are being led to the point and are falling to the point that they feel that the government is responsible for their whole life and providing for them and taking care of them from the cradle to the grave.
You know,
and that's just not the way our country's built.
Lane Michelle Buckman, I think that's her name, from Oklahoma. No, Minnesota. On the TV about a month ago, she said now the government is in control of 51% of the American economy.
Absolutely. And the government workers, more people working for the government than ever before. And they're the only people that have secure jobs and getting raises.
A man asked me the other day, he was a Tea Partier. Diane, you mentioned about the Tea Party. We just elected Tom Graves to Washington. He was sworn in this past Monday night. I'm sorry. No, that's right. Monday night on C-SPAN, many Georgians saw him, and he mentioned our names on the House floor yesterday, Joe McCutcheon and me, because we have the McCutcheon-Poole Small Business Coalition. And I keep repeating about that. There are 27 million small businesses, of which I'm one. And 27 times 3 is what? 81. Mm-hmm. Now, that's man and his wife and one worker. And then the Tea Party, mixed with the Tea Party, we could control any election, anyhow, any way, anytime. I believe that. What are we going to do about this direction?
Well, it's got to be a grassroots movement.
And
I think, of Tea Party and people of that like.
You mean you mentioned people of the people?
Of the people, right? And people have to realize what is happening. I believe that the elections in November of this year are going to be vital in
folks.
the direction of our nation for the next few years. And I think we ought to be aware of that and be out voting and raising money and campaigning and getting people who have, I think, values and morals and ethics that are true to the founding fathers and the founding spirit of our nation.
Yes. Now, folks, you've been listening to Dr. C. Lane Jenkins from Madison, Georgia, my dear friend of 36 years, I think we said.
36.
But you've been around this state in the United
Church, North Church.
Now, you are a retired United Methodist preacher.
That's correct.
Like I am.
Right.
You know, I still belong to the Evangelists. Naomi, the NAUME, I still belong to that.
Is that right?
You know what it takes? $50 a year. Keep your payments up.
By the way, I understand that I can have my picture on the Pig Hill of Fame too.
Yes, you have to qualify.
I know.
Well, you know what the qualifications are?
No, I don't.
I'm going to tell you. You have to have 3 ways: honest face,
right,
good intentions,
right,
and $5.
Yeah. And you'll waive the first 2 sometimes, right?
Oh, we're very friendly. We wave at you. Well, folks, we've got to bring this interview to a close. And what a privilege it has been to be with you, Diane, his lovely wife.
Thank you.
Of how many years?
12.
12 years. And you folks met over in Thomaston?
Thomaston, Georgia.
I was pastor there, too, in same city. Mm-hmm. At Higher Tower Church, and you went to First Church, higher up than we were. What a pleasure this has been, Lane, to be here with you and your wife, and to interview you on this WCBA.TV. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, and I enjoyed it. It's always a pleasure to be with you, Oscar. You and Edna, been friends for so many years. We've enjoyed many good times together, more so than we can remember at this time.
Yes, more than we can remember. Well, folks, that's Dr. C. Lane Jenkins here in Georgia, and this has been a WCBA.TV production.